Yo, what up, Fight World? This is Ballroom Boxing, and we're back with another episode. First off, shout out to the homies, Reef and the homie Melanated Greatness. Right now, they're my first 2 subs to my channel, so shout out to those brothers for the support. So this video I wanted to do today, I did have material that I wanted to put out for some of my post-fight thoughts and some of my just general thoughts on boxing in itself. But I wanted to do this video because there's a lot of bitch assness going on in the sport of boxing right now, and I really don't like it. It's a cause for a serious loss of respect from me for certain fighters. Excuse me. So let's get down to it. The mentality of a man, or rather the mentality of a fighter, and the character of a man. See, there are a lot of fighters in the world, but to me, what makes a fighter is not necessarily his skill set, but his mental. Like Brandon Rios, for instance. Brandon Rios, to me, is a true fighter. He's a true boxer. You know, the dude grew up fighting. You know what I'm saying? And let me say something. Like, I don't know if you guys remember the old adage, but boxing is a poor man's sport. Fighting is a poor man's sport. Because when you grow up poor, broke, destitute, hungry, you know, at or below the poverty line in this country, anywhere in the world, you grow up having to fucking fight for what's yours. You grow up literally, you know, living a life of survival of the fittest. So you grow up with a survivor's mentality. The fight or flight instincts are honed in you when you grow up in those environments. You know, take myself for instance. You know, now I'm basing my opinion on the mentality of a man and the caliber or character of a fighter based on my own experiences, training, being in the gym, and being around fighters. And I can tell you this, more than anything, it takes courage to be a fighter. It takes courage. Courage is the act of responding to a situation in spite of your fear. Acting in spite of fear is what courage is. Every fighter gets a little bit nervous before a big fight. Everybody gets a little bit nervous. Everybody second guesses or questions themselves. You know what I'm saying? But what makes you the fighter that people respect, like taking Andre Ward for instance, you know, his situation as a kid was similar to mine, although, you know, I didn't necessarily fall into the church the way he did, or rather I did, but I just didn't stay there. But but that mentality, that never give up, that never give up, never surrender mentality, that the ability to take a situation, a difficult, complicated situation, and plant your feet and get ready for the long haul, as opposed to looking for a way to escape the situation, looking for a way to not have any accountability. You know, a real man, and this is what makes the best fighters out there right now, the ones that people respect the most, are the guys who have a true warrior's mentality, the ones who actually have that mental character. Excuse me. Like for instance, let's hold up for instance Adrian Broner versus Mikey Garcia for instance. And I'm paralleling these two dudes for these reasons. Both of these dudes grew up in the gym. Both of these dudes grew up fighting. I mean, there's footage out there, Adrian Broner, little kid with boxing, the gloves were bigger than his arms. You know what I'm saying? So he been in the gym training all his life. So is Mikey Garcia, grew up in the sport, grew up around the sport, national tournaments, so on and so forth, you know? And for all intents and purposes, Adrian Broner is a more gifted athlete than Mikey Garcia. He's a more gifted athlete. You know, I would say that their skill sets should at this point be the same so far as their ability and their ring IQ. But what is the major fundamental difference between Mikey Garcia and Adrian Broner? Their mental, their character as a man. Mikey Garcia, while there are some questionable things about him, or at least people around him, when it comes to, excuse me, his relations to black people and all that kind of shit. Put all that aside. You know, the mentality is completely different. You know, a man who has accountability. Mikey Garcia is a dude. He's a stand-up dude. He's a dude who has accountability. He's a dude who is humble and modest. You understand what I'm saying? Adrian Broner is none of the things. The man doesn't have accountability. If he loses in a fight, he doesn't want to talk about what he did wrong in a fight. He wants to just go ahead and brush. He wants to go ahead and move along and just get to the whole part where he starts talking shit. Right? I've seen it many times before. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm not talking about that. You know, just the mentality of a man, you know, and the mentality of a fighter. Mikey Garcia has the mentality of a fighter. He has the get up and keep on going forward mentality. If Adrian Broner wasn't so mentally weak, he too would be like his homeboy, I guess at one time his protege, Robert Easter. You know, somebody who can get knocked down and get back up. Somebody who can weather the storm. You know what I'm saying? Inside and outside of the ring. You know, we have dudes like Earl Spence Jr., Terrence Crawford, you know, dudes who are mentally strong, dudes who have have the ability to focus on the task at hand and hold themselves accountable for whatever they may be lacking in. We have Deontay Wilder out there, another guy who is a credit to the mentality of a fighter and the mentality of what a man should be as a fighter. And I'm bringing this up because we have a lot of fighters nowadays who don't want to fight for the glory. They only want to fight for the glitz. You know what I'm saying? They want the glitz and glamour. You know what I'm saying? But as the kid Talib Kweli said in one of my favorite songs, you know, give me the fortune, keep the fame. You know what I'm saying? Terrence Crawford strikes me as the type of guy who is give me the fortune and keep the fame type dude. The way he shies away from interviews and things like that. He doesn't do a lot of interviews. Errol Spence will do interviews, but he doesn't do a whole shitload of them. Another dude who is kind of, you know, give me the fortune, keep the fame. He's in it to make money because they are prize fighters. Let's not get it twisted. They're in it to make money. They're not in it to be celebrities. Adrian Broner's in it to be a celebrity. You know, I like Danny Garcia, tough Philly fighter. You know, I think at sometimes Danny Garcia is in it to be a celebrity. You know, I'm not saying that Danny Garcia is a scared fighter, but to me, when you're too busy concerned about whether you're going to lose, you lose something in my eyes. You lose something in my eyes. I think Danny Garcia is not necessarily afraid of any fighter, but I think he's too afraid to lose. You understand what I'm saying? Too afraid to lose. Now, I haven't brought up Keith Thurman in any of my videos and talked about Keith Thurman because Keith Thurman is on a different journey, man. The man just got married. Apparently, you know, his lady's pregnant. It was, you know, he got swept up in the whirlwind. You know, I'm not mad at that man if, you know, his perspective has changed. The reasons why he was boxing, you know, one time Keith Thurman, I got an O and I ain't afraid to let it go. Another dude who grew up, you know what I'm saying, rough. Another dude who came up having a scrap all his life, you know, but he may have found some sort of peace and he may be riding with it. And for that, I'm not mad at Keith Thurman for that, man. I'm really not. You know, big ups to him. If he comes back to boxing, that's what's up. But come back and be the same dude you were, man. Don't come back and be full of fucking shit. You know, come back and be the same one-time dude you were. You started falling off from that. But let's see. Sergey Kovalev is another dude who, to me, doesn't have the mentality of a fighter. You know, he is, as we all have seen, especially is coming to a light now that he just got his ass kicked by Aleta Alvarez. Sergey Kovalev is a bully. I'm the bigger, stronger guy. That's why I'm fighting, because I'm bigger and stronger than you, and I know I can beat you. But as soon as he started getting his ass handed to him, all of a sudden, you started to see that shit kind of change a little bit. And now that his card has been completely pulled, I mean, we see Sergey Kovalev's mentality. You know what I'm saying? We see what it is with him. You know, he is not a true fighter. He is not a true combatant. He is not a true warrior. He's a dude who was big and strong, and he uses that shit to lord over other people. That's it. You're a bully, man. You know, that's what I mean. The mentality of a fighter, the caliber of a fighter, the caliber of a man, the mentality of a man. That's what I mean when I talk about that shit. You know, these are the differences that I'm seeing. Look at the stark contrast between Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev, or between Adrian Broner and Mikey Garcia. You know, look at the contrast between Kell Brook and Errol Spence. And I'm saying it because these dudes were opponents, but there is a contrast. I mean, Kell Brook, I think Kell Brook is a phenomenal fighter. I think he's a great fighter, but mentally he's not the same dude as Errol Spence. He didn't come from the same shit Errol Spence came from. You know what I'm saying? And I knew Kell Brook was going to quit in that fight before I saw it. I knew he was going to quit because of all the tap dancing he did before the fight was actually made. You understand? I knew he didn't have it in him to go the distance with Errol Spence. I knew that shit and I called it. But anyway, the mentality of a fighter, the caliber of a fighter, Kell Brook can fight. But when the shit is on the line, you understand? Are you going to bend? Are you going to fold? Are you going to break? Deontay Wilder is the type of dude who's not going to bend or fold or break. The contrast between him and Anthony Joshua. You understand? It's amazing how these parallels just seem to just arise naturally in boxing. You know, there's the same parallel between Luis Ortiz and Anthony Joshua. You know what I'm saying? Because Luis Ortiz took that challenge with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder didn't have to give Luis Ortiz a shot. But out of respect for that man, he gave that man a shot. And they both have even greater respect for each other after that because they both hurt each other. You understand? Luis Ortiz got rocked by Deontay Wilder and kept coming. Deontay Wilder got rocked by Luis Ortiz and kept coming. You know what I'm saying? Deontay Wilder he was just better that day. He came out on top. He had to literally stop Luis Ortiz to keep him from coming forward. The caliber of a fighter, the caliber of a man. You know, but both of these dudes mentally are a different type of guy than Anthony Joshua. Look at all the bullshit he's going through. You know what I'm saying? All these, you know, all his prestidigitation and all this abracadabra shit. You know what I'm saying? He doing the motherfucking oh man, I forgot how Bruce Willis put it in the fucking movie. He doing a Chicago shuffle. He making you look left while you go right. I'm probably not referring to the right thing there, but it's the same premise. He makes you look left while you go right. All his fans are looking left while he's going right. He's making you think he wants the Wilder fight, while at the same time he's actually not doing anything to pursue it. By saying like for instance, saying he signed his portion of the contract when Eddie Hearn was the one that actually signed the contract for him. And on any fighting contract, any fight that has a contract, the promoter and the fighter have to sign those contracts, not just the promoter. Because even though you may be I guess proxy for the fighter, you still cannot sign his name to represent him as himself. Like, you can't do that. But anyway, those are the contrasts, you know. And nowadays there are a lot of fighters out there. But here's the thing though, I think there are more casual fight fans out there that have that not a fighter's mentality than there are fighters who have that mentality. You know, I think the fighters are riding the wave because they're getting support from these sucker-ass fight fans. I think they're just riding the wave, you know, because if these fans actually disappeared and fighters were holding these dudes to task, I think the fighters would stand up or they would, you know, get filtered out. And I don't think anybody wants to, you know, lose their spot at the top. I think these dudes will buckle down and do what the fuck they had to do. But it doesn't mean that their mentality is going to change, because at the end of the day, they still might quit on themselves. But I just wanted to do this video, man, because I see that there is a stark contrast between the fighters who are getting shitted on, who are actually out there doing what a fighter's supposed to do, and the ones who are actually getting all of the positive attention and affirmation, and they're the ones who are holding up a division. They're the ones who are not allowing the best fights to be made because they don't want to lose. You know, all the wrong fighters are getting shit. You understand? And all the wrong fighters are getting praised. The right fighters, the fighters who should be getting the praise, are the ones who are getting held up to ridiculous standards, while the fighters who are being praised are the ones who are able to not live up to anybody's expectation, but have excuses being made for them because they got a lot of ball-hugging dick riders as fans who wants to live vicariously through them. But I don't know, man. Do your own research on it. Study these guys. Look at the contrast that I hold. I find it kind of ironic that a lot of these contrasts that I hold were actual matchups and shit. You know, so far as the mentality of these fighters and the caliber of them as men. You know, I think there's a direct correlation between that, man. A direct correlation, you know. But more is yet to come on that, you know. More, it is yet to be seen so far as what's going to happen in the near future with these fighters. Adrian Broner could snap out of his little spell of mental instability and come back and be the dude we knew him to be at 135. He could. Do I think it's gonna happen? No, but it could happen. But yeah, man, that's all I got for right now. That's what I wanted to do this for a while, man, because I've just been noticing all of the credit that Anthony Joshua gets in spite of the fact that him and Eddie Hearn are full of fucking shit. They're two complete pieces of shit. You know what I'm saying? These dudes lie like cheap Persian rugs. You understand what I'm saying? And Anthony Joshua is as sharp as a bag of wet hair because he just says anything he's told to, even when he contradicts himself. He's an idiot. But anyway, that's all I got, man. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section about the mentality of a man and the caliber of a fighter. I think there's a lot to be said to that, man. I think you can accurately predict the outcome of a fight when you have a mentally weak fighter who boasts about being tough in the ring with a very skilled fighter who's mentally tough. I think you can all but always pick the right guy in that situation. But let me know what you guys think. I'm out. Peace.